I don't remember where the best place for this is just yet. I've only played it once. I'm gonna play this for, I want to say, an hour and 30 minutes, just so we can kind of have a game to play that's consistent. We'll find out where the camera goes here in just a second, because I don't think that's a good spot for it. It's not. But let's get into actual gameplay so I can see exactly what goes up top there, because I think up there's the map, and I need to know where that is. I think I had it in the bottom corner at some point or another, but I don't remember. Because every game I have to move the camera, because I don't know exactly where the best spot is for each game. Because Elder Scrolls, it's down in the bottom corner. Disney's on the side. This one I have no idea. Yep, the camera's right there. I'll set it there for now. I don't care what you have to do. I don't have anything for this.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
So water it, Jonathan. I'm not gonna lie, this might be too bright right now. Yeah. This game is too dark for me to be able to have that on and be able to see at the same time.
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
No.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
Sorry. There's nothing here.
Some of the patients won't last the night without them. Honestly, sir, I'm beside myself.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
Excuse me. Sorry I haven't been on lately.
It's locked.
I have just been working nonstop, and I mean that quite literally. I've been at work since last week. I worked from Wednesday of last week to today. Tomorrow is my first day off in like 8 days. I'm a little tired, but I wanted to play a game. Oh, I never did start the timer. We'll probably play until about 1 o'clock, and then I might switch to a different game, or I might go to bed. It really just depends on how I feel.
Not now.
Fine. I don't recall all of the controls. I'm sure there'll come a point when I remember them. I do know we need to go around and talk to everybody.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Oh, me too. This game, from what I've seen, is a lot of dialogue, and you miss out on some of the story if you don't talk to everybody, but it's a lot of dialogue.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover, to hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Oh.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Oh. The camera is still in a terrible spot! But... hold on. Let's see if we can find a better spot for this. I honestly think one of the corners is probably going to be the better option. It says local investigation. A new citizen investigation is available. Press blank to press the pad to open the local investigation menu.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard's syndrome, Miss Howard?
Nope.
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
A vampire.
No, it was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'm gonna stab myself on accident. You know. That was not a good mix.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
funny. But yeah, so a lot of it is talking.
It's locked, all right.
And, Birmingham, 27th October. Hello, sis. How are things in the big city? Here in Brum, things are not so good. It seems the flu is here again, and we have many new cases of infection in the neighborhood. Do you remember Miss Scheller, the old drinking hag from the 3rd floor? She passed away 2 days ago, and her flat is already occupied again. Geez, you would have to pay me a huge amount of money to go sleep in the bed in which a woman died of the flu just a few hours ago. Sorry I did not take time to quickly answer your last letter. Between taking care of little Paul, Mom, Dad, and my job at the factory, I rarely find time to write to my favorite sister. By the way, my son says hello to his favorite Aunt Pippa. You should see the little bugger. Already driving me mad. And Mom says you bring back some of those marvelous cakes the next time you come back home. In your last letter, you told me you thought about quitting your job at the Pembroke Hospital. I have to tell you, Pip, you better think twice. There are always jobs at the factory, but wages are shit, and it's as boring as a day without a shag. Oh, I have a new fiance, and no, I'm no slut, you moral bitch, you. God damn. So if you really want to quit and do something more useful than counting the dead every morning, maybe you better stay in London and join the band you told me about. The Guard of Preven? The Guard or Preven. Something like that. Never heard of them. But if they are, like you said, some sort of I almost said civilian. Civil militia trying to make a difference, then maybe it's a good choice for you. Just be sure to let the others go in front. That's how my poor Billy got killed in France, by leading too many patrols. Bloody war. Anyway, come back as soon as you can and give me all the good news before that. I am your affectionate sister, Lucy, Paul, Mum, and Dad. Okay.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Speaking of Pippa.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
But you're doing something important here. For all the patients who need your help.
We save lives, sure. Each time we send a cured patient home, it's a relief beyond words. But since the epidemic, I feel so powerless.
And you're not the only one.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
But you're doing something important here.
Oof.
For all the patients who need your help.
We save lives, sure. Each time we send a cured patient home, it's a relief beyond words. But since the epidemic, I feel so powerless.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
I thought that was blood for a second. This game is very dark. And I don't think... Yeah, I got it turned up as far as it goes. That's Pippa. I think we already talked to him.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans. And it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
God damn it.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans. And it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood.
Ew.
And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain. She's here again.
Ah. It is saving.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, Sora, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Yeah, a lot of this game is just talking, and then fighting, and then story.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers' trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
I thought you said Dooth.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Is Scarfly done?
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
A giant morgue disguised as a hospital. It's Pembroke nowadays.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
It's locked.
So many deaths. And what of my own life?
Disgust on every street corner.
I wasted too much energy.
Yes, Doctor?
Exactly how bad is the supply situation here at Pembroke?
It really depends. Dr. Swansea deftly works his society contacts for monies. But with the quarantine, well, we're in God's hands.
Your character model is weird.
Why then do you always work the nights? Don't you ever sleep?
At the Pembroke, we're always hands on deck.
Your dedication to the Pembroke does you credit, Nurse Crane, but when do you sleep?
We staff get our sleep when we can, Doctor. Nursing is a vocation, not the labor of a journeyman.
Lack of sleep and the medical profession always ends in disaster. I've witnessed many a colleague succumb to stimulants to fight exhaustion. Drugs were as deadly as bullets in the trenches.
London's trenches start here at Pembroke Hospital. We are on the front line, make no mistake.
Please, could you point me in the direction of the morgue again?
It's the large boarded-up building behind the hospital. You can't miss it. The key I gave you will open the small back door to it.
That's all for now, Nurse Crane. Thank you.
That goes outside.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time, his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
In circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes. Thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
I'll probably play through this a few times, not gonna lie, because
Goodbye, Mrs.
there's a
Goswick.
few different endings.
Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Fatigue. I don't have a treatment for that. He's a level 2.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I know.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me.
Pembroke Hospital, 2 of November. My dear children, sorry I did not write to you before, but it hurts like hell to just to write these few words on bloody paper. Don't worry, Daddy will go out of the hospital as soon as the doctors fix his arm. In the meantime, if you need something, go see Mr. Chadwick at the construction site and tell him you are Harvey Fiddick's children. You remember Robert Chadwick, the big guy with the mustache who helped me repair the house doors last spring? Go see him and ask him for a few bob. He won't refuse to spare you a few. I'm sorry I can't work anymore for now, but we'll figure out something as soon as I'm out. Don't worry, everything will be fine as soon as Daddy's arm is strong again. As soon as the doctors have fixed my arm,
What a blundering idiot.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Train. Due to the influenza, this hospital can no longer take any patients. Hospital full, please go back home.
You have the right to disapprove of our methods, and you will kindly apologize when you're feeling better.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
You will obtain nothing from me by flattery, my young colleague.
Oh, I was not flattering you, sir. Not at all. Just clumsily expressing my sincere admiration.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time.
It has been 43 minutes
Tell
of
me
nothing but
more
dialogue.
about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him? Or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Also,
Any news about my operation?
I can't skip the dialogue options.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital? That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
That's fair.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Oh, damn. This is another new one? Oh no, maybe I talked to her in the first one. I did. Okay, we're fine.
Goodbye, Nurse.
Go away.
Call me if you need assistance.
There's so many fucking people.
And I thought last summer's epidemic was done.
Nice. There's blood all over that. Is that Pippa? Or is that Brannigan again?
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good
God
evening, Doctor.
damn it. It's too
Goodbye,
fast.
Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
I'm tired of your shit, Clay. What the fuck did you do? All the bloody docs are gossiping about how my husband has just got that stupid kid. How many times did I tell you to count to 20 before drawing your blade? How can we expect to do proper business and have people obey if you keep on killing everyone who dares cross you? Now rumor says some blokes from the dead's family are looking for you, and one of them even swore to kill you. Don't come home tonight. I've seen some strange men patrolling the streets. They may be some commie militia or something like that sent to arrest you. Go to a safe place for a few days. Maybe go to the hospital or Whitechapel. Make yourself useful for once by checking if any business could be settled over there. When the situation is calmer, I'll send a wet boot boy so that you know to come back, Edwina. Beautiful. Who's over here? Somebody peeing.
Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reed. Still working at night, I see. I like that.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting, one way or another.
Do you ever think about that poor fellow I saw you push in the water?
The wound he gave me will make sure I don't forget him. It still fucking hurts. Boss had cut me good.
What did he want? Revenge?
I recently had to kill his brother. Poor arsehole thought it would be easy to return the favour.
You're a monster, Mr. Cox. An ungrateful and disgusting man.
I'm the toughest bastard you'll ever meet, Dr. Reed. And I don't give a fuck what you think of me.
That man was determined to murder you. You almost died.
What a surprise. The first time I met him, he nearly shit himself. Fucking coward. I guess revenge gives you balls.
How is your hospitalization going, Mr. Cox?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. But as long as I'm treated all right, I'll be fine.
What's wrong with the Pembroke staff?
That bastard you sent to bring me here, Milton. I thought he was going to break all my bones before I reached my bed.
I see. Any other smart comments?
The nurses aren't too ugly. Especially that foxy one, Nurse Crane. Pretty brunette, tough attitude, all like that.
What's wrong with the hospital?
Come on, Dr. Reed. The place is a dump. Smelly, sad, and dirty.
But you're alive thanks to the efforts and dedication of the staff here, aren't you?
What are you expecting, a medal? I thought that saving lives was just part of the job. Must be an unsatisfactory profession at this time, I'm sure.
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like the back of my hand, Doc. I know its streets, who to pay, who to avoid, and who to bully. I won't get caught.
We can't escape the consequences of our actions. The past catches up with us in the end.
I ain't afraid of death. I don't hide who I am. I live my life honestly, which is more than I could say for most folks.
And who are you, then?
I'm the leader of the Wet Boot Boys. One day, I'll leave this shitty place and punch in the face all who thought I would not come back.
Am I right to assume your wife's letter pissed you off, Clay?
I was so mad, I threw away the knife she got me when we got married.
Your wife gave you a knife as a wedding present.
That knife has always been my lucky charm. If I'd had it in my hand when I got stabbed on that pier, I'd not have been wounded.
A lucky charm? I never would have taken you as the superstitious type.
We all have our flaws, Doc. Mine's to have my weapon of choice for when the really dirty business comes around.
Do you want it back?
I don't need it here, but if you'd be kind enough to bring it to me, I'd be really grateful.
A grateful Clay Cox? I might just find your knife and bring it back to you to see that happen.
I can give you directions, but I'd be surprised if you managed to find it. My hideout isn't meant to be found easily.
What can you tell me about your marriage, Clay?
Marriage is the sweetest cage, they say. Well, I found myself locked in one with a wild animal.
You mean your wife keeps you on your toes?
No, I mean, we both have claws and we both love to bite.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
Please, sir. I need help bad.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Newton Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find him anywhere.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the Pembroke Hospital. Please, calm down and give me more details.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but we had a disagreement. And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them at all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. What can you tell me about yourself?
I'm Oswald's best friend. We served in the same regiment, sir. Taken care of each other since we came back from the front.
This is a dangerous part of town. What are you doing here?
We were looking for the Pembroke Hospital. We both need help. Treatment, I mean. To get some sleep. Just need to feel better, sir.
What can you tell me about your friend?
His name is Oswald Thatcher. We survived the war together. Oswald is nervous and quite fragile since we came back from the war.
Where was your friend the last time you saw him?
He went down by the canal. He didn't want to go to the hospital. I think he went to the sewers on purpose. So I couldn't go after him.
It's too bright. My head
I have all the information I need for now. If I find anything out about your friend, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
It's locked, all right.
Pembroke is still standing after this epidemic, there's good reason to be proud.
Yeah, nope. They're gonna kill me.
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody.
That scared me. Oh, I can't see shit. Oh, damn. Those load screens. Hello? The fighting is very clunky. fighting is very clunky. Hmm.
It's locked.
God damn. The fighting is so clunky. Terrible. Don't know how to stop that. Good lord. Ooh. No. No.
So,
Oh,
Mr.
son of a
Knox and Nurse
bitch.
Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden their affections well.
I don't have enough health to continue this fight. Ay, ay, ay.
It's locked.
So we have a doc's in the hospital. He's fatigued. He's fatigued. And he's fatigued. Stable, healthy. Yeah. Oh, I almost fell. I don't think I need to increase this yet. This should make the fight a little bit easier. Not by much, but a little bit. It's still fairly early in the game where that's not gonna bug out too much. I might pause here and maybe switch to a different game, because the fighting is just a lot. And I'm gonna have to look at the controls again on how to fully dodge and block and all that fun stuff, because I forgot. So I probably will jump on and play some Disney here in a bit. Give me just a second though.